Hello there. Good afternoon. How are you? How everyone? How are you?
Hello, hello. Hi, Lorena. How are you doing today? Hello, everybody who has joined us here in live, or also hello to everybody who will see this video afterwards. How is everybody doing today?
I hope everybody is doing fine. I hope everybody has lots of questions and asks, but if you don't have the questions to ask us right now, you can ask us later and we will get back to you.
Please, those of you who are seeing this later, know that we read the comments and we read the questions and we reply to you. So please, please, please do not hesitate to leave any thoughts or any comments around there.
Yes, we want to answer. We want to be here to support you. So this is a live session. We're going to talk about upskilling and reskilling. It's a conversation that came up last time that we had our last live. We were talking about transferable skills and the importance of them. And some questions came around on how do we make sure that we identify them, which are our skills, and how do we make sure that we have the skills for the next upcoming market reality. So here we are. We're going to talk about which are those skills, what are they looking for, but most importantly, what is upskilling and reskilling. So briefly, if that's okay with you, Jessica, I'm going to just jump into it. Is that okay with?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so for those of you who do not know me, and Lorena, you will introduce yourself later as well. My name is Jessica Rojas Lizcano. Maybe it is the first time that you're joining these live sessions or that you're looking at any posting of this group. We are dedicated to help people improve their careers, to move forward, to even reinvent if it's necessary. And upskilling and reskilling is definitely a big part of that topic. It's one of my favorite topics, I have to say. Well, I do have many favorite topics, so maybe that happens a lot. But it's something that has become super relevant. And to be honest, I think if you haven't heard these terms yet, be ready, because you will be hearing a lot about upskilling and reskilling, but really a lot from next year. And why is that? Because as we've been saying this all along, the market is changing, and it's changing, we can even say radically. There are many economic models that are changing, new type of businesses, new technologies that are coming in, and really they are here to stay. And that necessarily implies that what we know, or maybe some job positions that we knew to be in a certain way, they are changing. And for us, employees, freelancers, business owners, everybody who consider an active professional, we really need to be looking at this market and looking at these changes, and then obviously thinking ahead and imagining, if this is changing, if this market is changing, how can my profession change as well? And that's where we get into upskilling and reskilling. So as Lorena was saying before, we talked a lot about transferable skill last time. We can consider part of these transferable skills or personal skills, part of the things that we consider an opportunity for upskilling. So let's start with this first. What's upskilling and what is reskilling? Upskilling means that you are going to be improving upskilling. So you really are advancing in a skill and ability that you have, whether that is technical, personal, maybe is something about your qualities, maybe it's something about these transferable skills that we talked about last time, but it's an opportunity for you to enhance in that specific topic. And what I like to say here, we can improve anything we like. And this is something that most of the time creates confusion, because we have the tendency to believe that we need to be perfect at everything, or that we need to improve everything. And that's not the case. That creates confusion and it can be overwhelming. So upskilling is about thinking first about my profile. What do I have already? What am I good at? And what are those skills that need to be polished a little bit? Or maybe something that I know I resist a little bit and is necessary for these changes that I'm seeing, and I really want to be placed in that market, and I really want to be shine in that market, and I need to improve those things. Okay, so that is the opportunity to improve.
I'd just add on to that one. I think it's perfect explanation. You said, I think about it. If I think about it in a short word, I would say, whatever you have to do to keep yourself relevant in the market.
So, perfect wording. Yes. keep yourself relevant in the
with
market.
what you have, right? So if you're in a job or whatever you need to do to keep yourself relevant, to keep yourself a needed resource for the market.
Perfect. Thank you for
That's
that.
my
So
question. Sorry.
yeah. So how do you keep yourself relevant? And that everything that allows you to become or to be even more relevant in the market is an opportunity to upskill. Okay. Well, what about reskilling? Reskilling is something else, it's something different. It makes you think about, if I'm not going to be doing this, what else can I do? So you reskill, you learn something new, you reinvent. More than renovating something, it's about recreating something. And for some people, that actually becomes or it has to do with changing radically their careers. So it can be a large range in that aspect. Okay,
But it's
so
every time more frequent. Why to change careers lately? It's you don't have to stick to your same career your entire life.
exactly.
So it's every time more frequent to have this need of reskilling. And it's not bad to have it in the middle of your career.
Exactly. Actually, it's not bad at all, and I would say, I would dare to say that it's necessary.
Yes.
I read an article a few months ago. I don't know if it's actually something that is accurate, but it was said that the youngest generations are meant to change, or most likely they will change 18 times,
Their
18
career.
times their
It's a lot.
careers in a lifetime. That's
I'm
huge.
on
I
3.
don't.
I'm on 3. That's
Yeah,
why.
we've been a long
Yeah.
time in the market. We're talking about younger
Yeah,
generations.
that's
So
why. Like younger, like it's a huge skip, right? We
yeah,
went from
it's a
three or
huge
four.
number.
It's going to be much more intense. So it's going to be even more frequent and more common to have
Exactly.
this reskilling and upskilling constantly in your career.
So yeah, maybe that's going to be the case. We will see it. Okay, but even if it's not the case, it's normal that as human beings, as professionals, that we're able to see when a change is necessary. And that's we're coming back to reskilling. This is what reskilling is about. It's about you. And then again, we go back to the same principle. Start with yourself. What is your profile? What do you need? What do you already have? What are your interests? What are the things that you like? And looking at the new opportunities in the market, maybe there is something there that you would like to explore. And because you already know, hopefully, you already know your profile and you recognize what are your best skills and your qualities, what are then the opportunities for you to consider something new and learn something new in a market that actually is proposing new possibilities? That's reskilling
I have
in
a
general
question.
terms. Yeah.
I have a question for everybody. If there are questions from the community, I'm happy to read through them and also share them. But I have the question is reskilling, upskilling, are they specific to any kind of skills? So let's say, let me bring it into context. We're talking about reskilling, it's learning a new skill. Is this only for hard skills, for technical skills, or this is also for soft skills? And for upskilling, is it only on soft skilling? Is on soft skills, or is it also for hard skills? Where do you see this stand? Or it's
Okay. So when it comes to upskilling,
yeah.
we're looking at everything. Everything can be, it has an opportunity to improve. For instance, I have a client who he's HR director today, and he's super worried about artificial intelligence. Why is he worried about artificial intelligence? Because he doesn't understand exactly how this will change his profession as he knows it today. That is something that he can consider to upskill, learn artificial intelligence, learn tools that can improve or even make his work faster and more efficient. And this is something that is technical, right? It's transferable because knowing artificial intelligence, you're not becoming a developer in or something specific about that, but you could use this in another job position. So it's transferable, but it's technical. That is one example, okay? But this person is also about to engage in a huge change in his company, and he's in human resources. So one of the things that he considers is a challenge is to be the ambassador of change, because he finds that it's somehow difficult to encourage people to use a different technology or to accompany them through this change. So maybe communication skills, empathy, these skills that are very personal and also transferable, this is another opportunity for him to do upskilling. You
Sounds
see?
perfect. Yeah.
So two
So many
different
examples.
set of
It's
skills.
different contexts, different situations, but there is always an opportunity to upskill or reskill yourself
Exactly.
in order to keep yourself relevant to the market, right? We're talking about relevancy at the end of the day for the role that you have and for the market that you're in.
And we're only talking about upskilling here. We're not saying that this person is going to change. So when it comes to reskilling, it is true that most of the time we have the tendency to think that reskilling is about hard skills because you're changing careers. But when you're reskilling, when you're thinking, I have another example. I have a client who is a lawyer.
Okay.
Is a lawyer. And she, right now, at this moment, she is training to become a data analyst.
There you go.
Well, obviously, we did the whole analysis, skills assessment, and everything. And she really said, "Okay, I'm really into numbers more than maybe I was in my career because it didn't have anything to do with it." And she discovered that she really is into this thinking, is very quantitative and everything. And so that's a perfect situation because it's something that the market needs, and she realizes that she can do it. But is it being analytical and all the tools to become a business analyst, all the thing that she requires to change? Is this the only reskilling necessary for
Not
her new
necessarily.
position? Not necessarily. Maybe
No.
she needs to be organized in a different way. Maybe she needs to be analytical in a different way.
Yeah.
Maybe she will be working well, maybe not. She will be working in a completely different setting where she will need other skills for that objective.
Yeah. I have another example to share about this, and it's quite common in any organization. So when you want to become a leader, right, you might be the best person doing the job and the execution, but when you want to get prepared to become a leader, you need to develop a whole set of skills that are related to leadership, communication, understanding others. Yeah, you name it. There are so many skills that you need to develop, and I think it's a good bridge to bring in at some point, which are the different ways to relearn, to reskill yourself, or to skill up wherever you are. So the first one that I would like to bring, and I think it's everybody has access to it, and it's microlearning. Take every single opportunity you have in front of you and just go for that opportunity and test yourself. You don't need to be a leader or a manager to test all your skills, but you can lead a project, you can lead a meeting, you can lead small little pieces of the business at certain point that will help you to develop those skills internally and at a very small pace. Changes do not happen overnight. Changes do not have to be drastic. So if you do it step by step and in small little pieces, you incorporate it in a much more natural way, and it's not so different to you. It's not so life-changing. It's just a small little piece that it's about an exercise on a daily basis. So that's one of the strategies that we have. Another strategy can be set up your learning path, set up the steps that you need to follow to be able to become that other you, right? So if we're talking about reskilling, and for example, your client, your lawyer that wants to become a data analyst, it's not only one thing she has to develop, it's a set of things. But if she has to do this overnight, she will not do it, and it's overwhelming. So she started by perhaps a course, then she can do a little bit of another kind of training, a workshop. So make sure that you're also having access to different sources of information, not only the ones that you read through or listen through, but also the ones that make you practice it. There is, you will be able to share much more. I'm putting you on the spot here, but the way that people learn, right? People do not only learn by reading. There is a lot more that is you learn by doing, and much more by teaching. So if you follow this process of how you learn, it's not only about, okay, I'm going to do a course and tomorrow I'm going to be a manager in a different industry or in a different area. You need to start slowly and you need to transition. Otherwise, you will transition very from top to bottom up. So if you want to go more in a horizontal way, you need to go incorporating those other things. So I would also say We were talking about microlearning. Now we're talking about a career path. So you set up the steps to go through it. Another way is to ask for feedback. And it's not always the best and most comfortable, but working on feedback and setting up a personal development plan on that feedback that you receive will help you also to understand further where you want to go. You were saying at the beginning that we need to know what set of skills we have and what's the gap that we need to fill. If we know the gap, then we can set up the steps towards it. And the best way to learn about our self-awareness is not only the exercise that we do with ourselves or with a coach, as in your case, it's also about asking for feedback, asking friends, asking family, asking peers, managers. Get that feedback. Feedback, I've heard it many times. It's difficult to take it that way, but feedback is a present, right? And you can take it or you can leave it. But the best of it is take it and work on it. And from there, you set up your personal plan. There are other ones. There are many platforms online that you can learn for free. So it's not always about paying another course. It's not about economical situation. It's about the step towards doing that. And then there's also something very powerful that's networking. You can find a mentor. You can find a coach. You can find people that are in the industry that you are and ask, how is it that, what do they need? If you need to do that gap analysis, networking is the best way to do it. And we have a very good place to do networking. It's called Step Up. It's a group that we've created lately. And what we want to do in that group is for you to join and have that opportunity to network with others, to find those opportunities, to understand your gaps, to understand what's in the market, what you need to fill in to be able to be relevant for the future career of yourself.
Perfect.
Answered it?
Yes. I would like to react and add maybe certain things. So Lorena just mentioned the group Step Up. It is a new group. It's recent. Well, I don't know when you will be watching this video, but right now when we are doing this, it's a new group. So we are really developing. It's going to be big, of course, because we're going to be bringing in a lot of people from different sectors, different industries. So one of the things about networking, and that is super interesting, and I would say necessary, is that the more you talk to other people in other industries, the more you will also know and you can anticipate things happening in the market. Because something that I've learned is that life is never static. It's always super dynamic. And sometimes we think that we are going to be part of an ecosystem for life, and it's not going to be the case. And the same thing happens for everybody else. So the more you talk to people, the more you connect, even if you don't think you don't have anything in common, the better for you, because you will expand. And Lorena was saying something super important is about feedback. And feedback, I think it goes not only for you to get information about where you're good at and where maybe how you should orient your career or your steps. It's also about feedback about training that people have done, because maybe you have in mind, okay, I should learn developing skills or software specific skills or artificial intelligence. There is a lot of information in the market. So when you talk to other people, when you do networking, and when you really connect with people who are already maybe a step ahead, you can also get feedback in that sense. I think it's an exercise that I always recommend it to my clients before engaging into any training, whether it's paid or it's a tutorial or it's a book that you buy. Before you engage in any training, ask to those who already done this before. Ask to people who have already built a career path and they have already trained in something, because from that feedback, you can see whether that's necessary, important, or if it's going to bring any added value to you. So that's what I wanted to add. And you said something, I wanted to react to that. Lorena said something that is super important is microlearning, is how do we learn today? And if we are engaged in a very busy life, already thinking about upskilling, it gets a little bit easier maybe, or more doable, because it's about adding something up and improving, maybe little steps, things that I can do. Still, microlearning is essential for this, because what actually creates a long-term change is the change of habits. and it's actually adding new information every day, even if it's a little piece of information that can create a change, of course, in the long term. And that's what microlearning is about. And even for those who are considering reskilling, I know reskilling, changing careers, maybe we think about, okay, I really need to focus on something. Yeah, maybe you will go for a boot camp, a full day training. Yes, but that will give you some information. But Lorena said something that I would like to reinforce. You learn something, but you don't change immediately. You change, you become what you do, while you make mistakes, while you find your own way of doing things. And that is also part of the micro-learning process that you will add, or the career path also that you create for yourself. So
Going back to microlearning, I think it's very important to keep on mentioning, because it's about habit, right? The microlearning builds the habit. Sometimes when you're trying to upskill yourself, you cannot identify that little step that you need to do. But by doing what you're always doing, you're incorporating as a habit. So you're always increasing your baseline. So that's the way you learn. It's not something new. It's increasing your baseline by feeling comfortable or confident of what you're doing, your skills that you've learned. There are many different technologies that are out there. If you want to master that technology, the best way to master it is using it. And many times we're talking about technology that has to do with, I don't know, I'm just going to give a silly example out here, but it's quite easy. We would not do video calls before pandemia, but now everybody masters video calls because we've had to do it on a daily basis almost to be able to do our job. And now there is no one that would not say, oh, I do not know how to do a video call.
Yeah.
Oh, I do not know what platform. Or even if you change platforms, I don't know, I'm always on Google, but if I have to do Zoom, it has similar features. So then I know the concept, so I can adapt easily. If I have to go to another platform, I don't know, Slack, Micros, whatever, you will really understand it because you've already mastered one of them. So that's what I mean by
it becomes a reflex.
Yeah, you just keep on building on it and you become expert, and then you can really adapt and readapt. Before, if you didn't know it, you would not be hired, perhaps. So
Exactly.
I think that's important about building the baseline by building habit, and then that increases your level of knowledge, your confidence, the way that you go around it, and then you can just put more information in. So
Exactly. There is just one thing that I would like to add. I don't know if you had that in mind before, but for those of you who are watching this right now, or those who will see this later, as we said before, upskilling and reskilling is something that you will be hearing a lot. And this is a live that lasts like half an hour. So we are just giving you an introduction. But please, 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 if you have any specific questions, or if you want to know more about how can I upskill in this case, or if I want to reskill in this case, or if you have any other ideas of topics that you believe are necessary in your career right now, please let us know, because we are constantly developing lives. We told you already, this is a community that has just started, and we really have the intention to make this grow and to create content that has a lot of value for you and that is relevant for you right now. But if you tell us what is relevant for you, obviously we can develop further.
yeah, and
So
we can
please
also
take
invite
that
those
into consideration.
specialists in, right? We have
Exactly.
many contacts. So if you don't have those contacts for networking, we do have them. So just let us
Exactly.
know who you want to call in, and we will do our best to bring those people in and have these conversations, because there are many experts in the field that can really give you those insights that you need to understand where you stand to go further.
Exactly. And Lorena just mentioned it. We're going to be bringing experts in different fields. This is a bilingual community, as you can see in our titles there, that they remain in Spanish. This is a bilingual group, a community. We are going to be developing content in English and in Spanish. But we are going to make sure that the content that is actually relevant, which means every content that we produce, is going to be available for all of you in both languages. So please, please just simply let us know. The more you contact us, the more you tell us, obviously, the more we will be able to develop.
Definitely. I have a final question before we leave the call. I have a thought, but I'd like to ask you, what is your thought? Who is responsible for upskilling and reskilling? Who is the person?
We had a little debate before that, right? Well, not a debate, but we were
I think we
having
were
our
aligned on it.
we were aligned on it. It's true. It wasn't a debate. We were very much in alignment with this. And my position is this. There is a partially a responsibility in the employer.
Mm-hmm.
Companies are seeing these changes, whether they want to be faster in adapting or not, or maybe if they have realized that if they do not get into this wave of change and they do not prepare their employees, they will be left behind. But that is something that we cannot control. So the first thing that I think is, because the responsibility is partially on the employer and partially in the employee, right? From my opinion, my perspective is that do not wait until the employer takes that responsibility. If you are in a company where they are doing something about it, jackpot, perfect. You are in the best place you can be right now. But from my perspective, and this is something that I always tell my clients, you are the only person that is going to be living with you your whole life. So you are the only one responsible, and thankfully is the case, you are the only one responsible to make your own decisions for taking those actions. And if you want to be relevant, and if you want to persist and evolve in a market that is going to keep changing, then I believe that the main responsibility remains in the employee, in each one of us, the professionals who are in part or were participants of this market.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the conversation that we had before is like, I think the company or the organization can put out there, if it's in their interest to retain talent and to keep relevant as an organization in the market, they can put out the opportunities there. But if the opportunities are not taken, and then it's the employee, it's not the organizations have changed a lot as well. So it's on us. We need to take control of what's in our control. And for me, the final responsibility for upskilling or reskilling is the employee, because they are the ones that also know which is their gap into regards the direction they want to take their career. Because maybe the company will not take us into another direction.
Yeah.
We need to choose the direction in which we want to go. Maybe we're done with where we are and we want to start something new. And I think this is a good bridge to the question Amit is asking us, if there are any specific tips for the budding entrepreneurs who must upskill to be more independent. There's way more for them to learn and prioritize. It's a good question. I hope I'm understanding it. For me, the tips are: find mentors, reach out. Networking for me is key, because that's going to give you the elements to keep relevant in the market as an entrepreneur. I hope I'm answering the question. Maybe, Jessica, you have a different interpretation.
Yeah.
You want to share something further?
Yeah, I think when it comes to upskilling for entrepreneurs, there are many, many, many things. You can create a huge list around that. And then again, it becomes to, we come back to the same idea. What is relevant and important for you? If I think of myself, for instance, as an independent and having my own business, for me, it was crucial to learn artificial intelligence and marketing skills, because I was lacking of those. And I felt that I was being a little bit behind.
If you wouldn't have had them, fine. You're behind in time. You're wasting time. And it's time precious that you cannot use on something else. Because at the end, you would marketing yourself, or you would write everything, or you would not automate and you would go step by step. But that's a huge amount of time that takes you off your clients, for example.
And there is something else, because you could also delegate. This is something that happens a lot when we are entrepreneurs. A lot of people say you cannot do everything. That is true. You have to eventually delegate certain things. But what happens when you don't know how to delegate because you don't know about it? So that's also a lot. It's a huge waste of time and money if you don't know at least the basics for certain things. So I'm just giving you an example. I think it was Amit who asked the question, right?
Yes.
So if my advice for you will be, first, look at yourself, go back to the basics, go back to your profile. What are the most relevant skills that you have, the things that you are the best at, and the things that you think you lack of, and how can you solve them? Because then again, when Lorena just told you, is, I would say the next step is, if not the first step, which is mentoring and networking. If you have somebody who can accompany you throughout the process, you will be able to see those things where you're going to need the most to upskill, and sometimes reskill if necessary.
Yeah, and you can also
Hopefully we
find
answer
those
your
people
question.
to delegate in, right? So you can find the business partner that can do the other side, and you both get a win-win.
Exactly.
So it's about understanding better where you are and connect with other people that are in similar circumstances. I think that's also interesting, not only for independent entrepreneurs, but also for people that are working in a company and that may want to become a consultant or independent, or
Yeah,
that
exactly.
just get surrounded of the people that will give you those tools, the knowledge, the information that you need to keep yourself relevant. I think it's a challenge, of course, for entrepreneurs because you are kind of alone in the market. But if you've decided to be an entrepreneur, I'm sure you have the skills to be independent and move forward and curious and keep going. So thank you for that question, Amit. Is there any other question in the room? I don't see anything else coming in. Maybe, is there anything else that you would like to add as a final comment?
I don't see any last comments. For me, to be honest, I think we close with the main idea, which is you really are the responsible for your decisions and how you want to manage your career. And I think for me, it really is the most relevant message when it comes to upskilling and reskilling. But obviously, it's not the only thing to think about. It's about being strategic and being smart about it. I posted earlier something about a client who was super confused about all the information and everything that is out there. So it can be really overwhelming to know where to start and how to start. And that's human. That's how we are when we are exposed to a lot of information. We
Every
don't
time we
know.
have more information, and
Exactly. We're
that's the problem.
bombarded with information. That's the thing. So if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel confused, if you don't know where to start, first, acknowledge that. It's fine. It's normal. We're humans. But then the next step is not to stay in that confusion and waiting for something to happen and somebody else to tell you the answers. It's about being more proactive about your career and say, if I don't know how to do it, let me ask somebody who can actually guide me through this and help me understand better myself so that I know which steps are strategic and smart for me and for the future, obviously.
Well, thank you for those final words. I cannot agree more. I would just say you own your career. So
Yeah.
just take ownership of it with what that means and just go for it. And we're here, both Jessica and myself, to support you along the process. Jessica is a professional coach. I'm an international mentor of career. So I can help you both. We can both help you to go ahead with everything. So see you soon.
If you haven't joined Step Up, we're waiting for you there, and we'll be super happy to know what you're doing and who you are. Please join us at Step Up for more live and webinars like this one, right?
Okay, yes. Okay, see you soon and have a nice
Thank
evening,
you.
everyone.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Lorena. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.